All right, it's the T podcast. Today we have a great episode. We're going to be talking with Drake Bajat. He is the owner of Restoration One of Lafayette. We're going to be talking with him as he brings over 30 years of expertise in accounting, construction. He's also was a petroleum landman and in water, fire, and mold remediation. He is committed to building genuine relationships, honesty, and dispelling industry myths in, I guess, any industry that you're in, but probably remediation is the main one. He's a family man with over 4 decades, married to a high school sweetheart who is Loretta, and he is blessed with 2 daughters, 2 son-in-laws, and 4 grandchildren. And you'll be able to meet the man behind this thriving Lafayette-based remediation company. And after this. All right, and so before we get too far, let me go ahead and put my split screen back up here. We have our first presenting sponsor is Chase Group Construction. So if you haven't heard us talk about Chase Group before, well, you're in luck because we're going to be talking about them because they are a sponsor of ours and they're a great local business. They are a construction and design. It's basically a design build firm. So they will design it and build it for you. So they take the lead and become your one point of contact for the entire design build process. So if you have a business that you want to build, or if you're renovating, they handle all that. They've done a lot of different businesses in the Lafayette area and are continuously getting more businesses under their portfolio. One of the main ones that I mention a lot because it's the most well-known is Fat Pat's in Broussard. They built that structure. They also built the Fat Pat's in Bro Bridge. So great local business, diverse portfolio with projects all the way through medical to popular restaurants and multi-unit shopping centers. You can check them out at chasegroupconstruction.com. They're on Facebook, Instagram, all those other places too. So yeah, thank you for sponsoring us, Chase, as always. Okay, so now that our heavy lifting is done in the beginning there, Drake, how is it going?
It's going well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on. We were already talking for probably about 30 minutes now about different topics. Some of those topics we won't talk about on here, but I want to know. Tell me a little bit about you. Just obviously, I gave a good intro there, but tell me a little bit about you in your own words. Are you from here? How did you get started in business? Just tell me a little bit about you.
Yeah, I'm born and raised just north of Karen Crow. Really involved in the community. I'm an accountant by trade. I got started in that right out of high school with my father.
Okay.
He was in computers and accounting, and that was where I started doing the accounting work. I worked at a couple of different local firms in town as a data processing manager and controller. I've been into computers and you know, before Word existed, I was Word perfect. And I decided in 92 to start my first business, which my brother-in-law was in the construction industry. So he said, what we need is painters, and you're meticulous. And I was laid off at the time. I wasn't working, so I'm like, I don't know anything about that. And it just so happened at the time I was into fitness, so my workout partner told me about a painter. Kind of BS'd my way into the new construction industry, and Bob Austin gave me my first home, and I had a painter, and I just paid attention and listened, and I grew it. And when we got to 94, I had 40 men that worked for me.
So what was your age range at that point?
30. I was 30 years old when I started, fixing to turn 30, when I started my first company. I did that for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
And then it wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't fun. In that time frame, I went back to college to get my degree, got a degree in education, because our plans were, the wife and I love to travel. So the plan was when the children are out of the home, we'll be able to travel because I'm an American educated teacher, so we can travel the world. And I can teach, for our income along the way. And both of our daughters decided they married local guys, and they didn't go away, and they stayed. And now we have grandchildren who are 10 and 15 minutes away from us, so we're not going to travel the world when you can see your grandchildren regularly, and we're involved in their lives and the sports, and we follow them with school, and they call to come sleep, and they come swimming in the summer. I'm blessed with 2 great son-in-laws that allow my daughters to be at-home moms. So, the wife was an at-home mom, and both of their mothers were at-home moms. So it's kind of, we're blessed to be able to do that. And so my wife's really involved with the grandkids and the kids, and she's never really been involved in the businesses, except she's just the support. She's the one that makes sure that the home has been run well. My children were raised properly.
I mean, running the home is a business.
Believe me, I would not want to have to pay actually for what she does.
Oh yeah, because you wouldn't be able to afford it.
No, I can't. I can't afford for what she does. There's not even a remote possibility for that.
Yeah.
And so she's just been she's the support. She's the kind of the rock behind everything that kind of keeps all the jailed parts moving and allows me to work like I need to, not be home as much, remind me that we have things that we need to be at.
That's what, my wife does that too. She has to remind me, hey, we have this plan for the weekend. I'm like, oh my gosh, glad you told me because I forgot.
That is pretty much exactly the way it works. I'm trying to get better to put it on my calendar.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. I try to do that too, especially if it's business related stuff. Oh yeah, got it on my calendar. Right. Every once in a while, I'll have something that slips up because there'll be like a personal call and like, hey, let's plan to do this on this such and such day. And I tell myself, oh yeah, I'm gonna put it in my calendar whenever I get off the phone. And something happens, I get off the phone and like, boom, immediately distracted with something else. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I think I actually had something that happened this week like that. So I feel super terrible. So now I got some making up to do. But yeah, I definitely feel you on that one.
And that's pretty much how it is, and then when I got out of construction, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I really kind of just meandered around. I sold cars a little bit, wasn't my thing.
So you couldn't be a car salesperson?
No,
huh?
I was, but the problem. The problem with it is that if I was gonna sell cars, then I was gonna sell cars. So I looked at it like, if the way that I look at things, and it's the way that I handle, my tax business. It's the way I handle my remediation company, which is just my main focus. But I'm not looking to sell you something. I'm trying to build a relationship in that I don't want to sell you a car or do a job for you today. I want to be around next year, and I want to work for your children and your friends and your family, and I want you to tell people about me because of the experience you had. Yeah. So that's kind of the way I looked at it. And when you're selling cars, a lot of them want you, when that customer comes in right now, don't let him get out of here. And after I left, I'd have people call me 3 and 6 and 9 months later because they wanted to come see me, and it's just like, I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
And that was the end goal. I'm going to build this for later, and it's kind of what I'm doing with the remediation. It's not that I'm not looking for the job today, which I am. Of course, we have bills to pay and we have expenses, but I'm looking at the growth and the how do we serve the community, in that we're not here to just take your money. We're here to provide a service. It's a tumultuous time. Mm-hmm. That, what do you do? I have water everywhere. Sometimes, I'll get the call where, oh, it's not that bad. And we'll get there and there's water throughout half of the home. And there's other times you'd swear that they're flooding, and we get there and there's water in their bathroom. So there's no, you can't always judge it. I take every call that comes in, and I deal with the client. I deal with that customer. I reassure them. We do insurance. We'll take care of your insurance. We'll deal with them. We work a lot with the plumbers in town in getting referred, because part of the problem is that with us at Restoration One, our goal is to not demo you.
To not destroy.
Correct. We're trying to get you back to normal as fast as possible. I have really reliable people that I use for my rebuild, my reconstruction side of it, but it's not what we do. So I'm not looking to let me demo so I can rebuild it, and then I make money on both. Mm-hmm. That's not what I do. And I'm certified in applied structural drying, which what that means is I was taught how to dry without demoing.
Yeah.
So, like an example, we did a house in Le Triomphe, 3,500 square foot downstairs. They had a water line that was running, flooded the downstairs of the house. We got there. There's water pouring out the doors. It was a home on the market, so no one was there.
Oh.
The nephew next door discovered it. So, they call us. We pride ourselves on being there within the hour. Generally, depending on where you are, I can get to you within an hour and a half. I will be there.
And the water was just running?
Yes. This was I got the call at 1:30 in the morning.
Oh, no.
I contacted my guy it was 1:37, and at 2:40 he was pulling up at the house in Le Triomphe. Just water. Now, they had cut the water off by that point, but still... And there downstairs was a long leaf antique pine.
Okay.
On the floors, and travertine. Well, most companies would want to rip that out because you can't dry it. And I didn't have enough equipment for that size of a home. It's just I had 40.
And you said 3,500 square foot.
3,500 square foot
on the downstairs.
That's what was wet.
That's big.
Correct. And so I had 40 something fans in there. Now I have enough, but at the time, I had actually, this was back, that was this year, but I hadn't bought my second batch of equipment, and we use a mat system to dry it. So what I did was I called her.
You don't use rice?
No. No, that's for your foam. Man.
Oh, yeah, that's your foam.
Correct, not your floors. No. And so we brought in a secondary mat system. The only thing we took out of that home was the baseboards because it was MDF and it swells.
Okay.
Other than that, we saved every floor, cabinet. I have air injection systems for their cabinets. There was not a thing demoed in that home except we had to take the baseboard off.
So that is crazy because... My thought, and I don't know if this is like an average homeowner kind of thought, but I was under the impression, especially after 2016, whenever that big flood happened, that once your house gets wet, like you almost have to take everything out. Like,
right.
I feel like I don't know how many days or hours you have before you do have to do that, but like how do you tell somebody, hey, we don't have to demo your house? Like, at what point would you have to tell someone that, hey, we have to take this out?
Correct. Well, there's a lot of myths.
Yeah, that's what I want to know, because you said you dispel myths. I want to know what that means.
It's like 24 to 48 hours mold starts growing. That's incorrect.
Okay.
There is no time frame for mold to grow. It's stagnant. It's stagnant air and water is what causes mold to grow. So, and we'll get the calls like, I have black mold, and I'll ask the owner, did you test it? No, but it's black mold. I know. No, you don't. You just don't.
So I guess I want to kind of hover on that for a second, because I think everybody, if you have a shower or a tub, you get this, I think this is called mildew or
Correct.
whatever
That's
the
correct.
darker
Correct.
stuff. It looks to someone who hears of black mold for the first time, well, it's black. It looks like black mold and it's growing. So it looks like, so how do you educate? Like, what do you do to help those people be assured that they have a certain mildew or mold versus not having that? And like, how do you help them know that their air quality in their home isn't going to be ruined in the future?
Well, if depending on the surface of where it's growing at, okay, because if it's not really permeable, it's really difficult for that mold to grow on. It's not gonna grow on fiberglass. I mean, it just won't. There's nothing organic for it to eat on. So it'll be drywall, wood, that type thing. Okay, if it's drywall, when people tell me they have mold, I always want to look at it because some of it is just an organic. It's just a growth. It's not an actual mold. Mold can make you ill, but there are different types of mold as well.
Yeah, I mean,
So
mold technically exists all
correct,
around us.
It's around us at all times. We live in fungus and mold. There's spores in the air. The difference is there's different categories too also. So if it's category 1, it's there. Category 2 means there's a possibility of growth, but it hasn't started.
Okay.
And then your category 3 is an evident growth.
So
there's contaminants.
So you said it's stagnant air. So
Correct.
would that mean the AC is not running, or what does that
Not
look
necessarily. It may be in a wall cavity.
like? Okay.
You see, so there's no air flowing there.
Right.
And it's not constantly wet. So there's no water flowing, so there's no evaporation process either. Because when we can't always not tear out water. When you have water, there's categories of water. So if it's a category 1, it's just a clean water. It came out your sink, just from a tap. It's a busted line. It's just clean. Category 2 means there's possible contaminants. That would be a toilet that was clean. It had no urine, no feces in it, but came from a toilet, or a dishwasher which has soap in it, a washing machine with soap. So those become possible contaminants. Category 3, which is what you spoke of in the 2016 flood, that came from outside the home. That is contaminated water. Anything that gets wet has got to be taken out because it has contaminants in it. It's the same thing. Anything that comes from beyond a drain on a sewer line is category 3. I have no option. I have got to remove anything that's wet.
Wow.
You see? So, in fact, we had one out off of Moss Street. It was from a drain line. It was beyond the seal. It backed up. It was clear water. But because it came from beyond the drain, I have got to treat it as a category 3. So anything that got wet, I have got to take out. Luckily, all that got wet was the floor, and it went into the kitchen. But we did have to take out the kitchen cabinets because they got really wet. I can't leave it in. Whether the homeowner wants me to or not, I can't. I'm licensed by the IICRC, which is our governing body, and they produce a book and their standards of care, which tell me what I have to do.
Yeah.
Of course, I deal with insurance companies, and they'll say, when I go pay for this, maybe an air scrubber, which is a negative air machine. It cleans your air, completely cleans the air. Anything that goes in is contaminated. Coming out is perfectly clean. Anything larger than 3 microns, it takes it out there.
Okay.
Virus.
Yeah.
It'll eliminate virus. Well, if you have a category 3, I'm required to use an air scrubber because I need to clean the air. And insurance companies will say you didn't need an air scrubber, and then I got to refer them to the standard of care, and we do that for the homeowners. We deal with the insurance companies for them. We help them. I communicate with them. It's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, because as it is, it's a really stressful situation. You have water everywhere. Are you just you thinking mold is growing, but it's not. If you would take your baseboards off when you get a water issue, which a lot of times we do have to take the baseboards off, you're like, oh, I got mold. It's just dirt that's back there. Behind those baseboards, dirt gets in there.
Yeah.
Over time. So it's really not mold. It's just, it looks like
it looks
but
scary.
It's not.
Yeah.
If the owner is concerned, we do have an outside firm that we recommend. The reason I use them, I'll give a plug if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's P12 Enviro. It's who we use mostly. It's a real honest guy. Zeke Davy is the owner. I've sent him out places where he'll tell the owner, because that's what he deals with, is the mold. And he does the testing, and he'll tell them, no, this is whatever. You don't need it to be tested, but it does need to be remediated, and then we'll come in and we'll take care of it.
Got it.
I don't do the testing, so it's an arm's length transaction. I'll send someone. And in doing that, what they'll do is they'll test the air quality. And the way you test it is you test outside, see what exists. Mm-hmm. You come inside, test the air, and so you know it's not airborne. If it's airborne, it's a whole nother process because we have to clean your AC system and your ducts, and then it gets a bit costly. If it's simply a surface, then with the mold, we remediate it. We have protocols to follow. We have to contain it. We run that negative air machine 24 hours post remediation. It's a containment barrier. My guys are in PPE with their gloves and their respirator, the PPE suits. We take it out. We'll bag it. We use a HEPA vac. We fog it. We'll spray it with antimicrobial. We'll HEPA vac that bag so nothing will get out of it. It's a process.
Right.
So when we're done and we leave that air scrubber in there. We leave enough, depending on the size of the containment, we will change the air in our chamber 4 to 5 times an hour for a 24-hour period. So that air is getting completely recycled 4 to 5 times an hour. Completely new air. We leave that for 24 hours. When we come back, we take your containment down. And now, if it was in the air, we'll test it. If it's a surface, because we remediated it, it's all gone. We follow the protocols. You're done. And then you're ready to rebuild.
Okay.
That's the mold end of it. We don't do a whole lot of fire because I'm not equipped for it. It's really big. I don't have the manpower to handle a fire job. We can, but it's just not what we do. And we do mold, but we don't do a lot of it. But I am certified. In the state of Louisiana, I'm required to be licensed by the state to do mold. The problem with remediation is that I can say I'm a remediation company and go buy air movers, and all I have to do is get a home improvement license, and I just pay the state $75, and I have the license to do it. I don't ever have to have any certifications. I don't have to go to school. None of that.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. I got my sponsors that I want to mention real quick. So it's time for that. Basically, our next sponsor is the Music Academy of Acadiana. So they can help you unleash your music potential. I like saying that because everybody has some music potential. Chances are, if you're driving, you're either singing or you're drumming on the steering wheel. Trust me, we've seen you do it, and I do it too. So, but like if you have any sort of inclination to want to learn music, this is the place to do it. They're Acadiana's top music school. They teach people of all ages and styles, and they teach piano, guitar, drums, violin, saxophone, flute, even audio production. So maybe you don't want to try singing, or you don't want to work an instrument, but if you want to help make music sound better, that is definitely the route you want to take. They can also help you improve your voice. So if you have a voice, not everybody has a voice. Everybody thinks they have a voice if the radio is turned up loud enough, but they can help you improve your voice. Ultimately, they make music lessons fun, educational to help foster the next generation of musicians and creative thinkers. It's founded by UL Music School graduate Tim Benson, super great guy. They have an emo cover band called The Criers, so really cool. But you can check them out at musicacademyacadiana.com. And they also on Facebook, Instagram, all those places. And then we have EPS, or electronic protection systems. Chances are you've seen their signs around town in front of homes and businesses. So they've been around for over 20 years in Louisiana. They just expanded to Houston, Texas. They offer smart home security systems with zero down payment, no out-of-pocket expenses, no long-term contracts. It's month-to-month services. It's cheaper monitoring than any of the bigger guys can. They're local, so you can, have that reassurance that you're supporting a local business. They have 24/7 professional monitoring, all that good stuff. And they also have whole home water systems. So like if your water tastes funny, or if it smells funny, or if your washer and dryer are getting clogged up because of debris, they have systems that they can put in place that filters the water, takes out hard water, sediments, all that good stuff, makes your water taste better, smell better. We don't buy bottled water anymore because we have a filter put in from them. And so it's I would say 4 times filtered from the house and inside. There's a 3-stage filter system. It's crazy. And so, yeah. And also, like I mentioned, your appliances that have water. So your dishwasher, your washing machine, even some dryers, those lines will get clogged. So this kind of helps with that and helps make your appliances last longer. You can check them out at eps-online.com. And we also have a referral link. So if you want to go to this link.developinglafayette.com/EPS, sign up there. They'll do a free in-home water test. So they'll test your water to show you the hardness levels, the chlorine levels, all that good stuff. And some really cool tests. It's free. They'll come out and check it. And if you have good water, cool, they'll leave. If you have bad water, they'll show you the system. And if you want to take advantage of it, you can. And with that link, we'll make some referral money too. So just FYI. So if you want to support us indirectly, that's definitely the way to do it. All right. So that is our sponsors, and we appreciate them. So back to the conversation of remediation in your home. I kind of want to go back to the mold conversation, because I feel like, especially in 2016, 2016 is it's 7 years ago, but it's still pretty new for a lot of people. And a lot of people had to renovate. A lot of people had to abandon properties, and if they didn't have flood insurance, they were screwed. And and some people that did have flood insurance, it sometimes took a while to get your money. And so if you were living in a house, if you didn't have other living arrangements, you were just kind of living in a partially stripped house. That's what we had to do. Whenever we flooded, we didn't have as much water come in as some other people. Some people had inches of water. The water did start coming into our house, but right underneath the wood laminate flooring. And so what happened, we had to get out. The National Guard came in and said, hey, we have to go. Or they told us we can stay, but they said it's not advised. You need to go. And the rain had just started to slack off, but I was able to see the water start to come in, and what was happening is that wood laminate was acting as a big old napkin, big old paper towel. And our entire house was that, except for the kitchen and the bathrooms was tile, but the whole house was that wood laminate, and just that wood laminate soaked up the little bit of water that did get into the house. And then also the baseboards, like you mentioned earlier, started to warp and come off the wall. So with that, when we got back home, we laid it. First off, before we got on the National Guard truck, we took a bunch of towels. Probably the worst thing we could have done. The worst thing we could have done. But we were panicking. We took a bunch of towels and put it on the floor where the water was coming in. And we were like, okay, we got to stop the water coming in. And then we left. We were like, oh my God, we're leaving our house with water still technically rising. We just didn't know how far it would come up. Thankfully, after the water went down, we were able to get back to our house. We noticed that the walls really weren't wet. There was a couple of spots on some of the sheetrock that did get wet, but the floor acted as that big paper towel, and the house stunk. Those towels did not help. Those towels acted as this nasty little petri dish, and we had to like wash those towels several times. We probably should have threw them away, but we washed them several times. And thankfully they did get clean, but it smelled funky for a while. But with that, we took all the floor out. Some people from my church came in and they were like, "Hey, we're just going to everybody's house as a part of the church, and if they have family that are not part of the church, we'll go to their houses if they need help." A couple of guys came in immediately within like the next day, started ripping out floor, and it was jarring because we were still living in the house. We were trying to survive in this house where the floors were kind of soggy. It was weird. And so they came in, ripped it all off, and then there was sheetrock that we knew was wet, so they cut all that off, and like within a couple of hours, they left to go on to help someone else. And my wife and I were just in the house, standing on raw concrete, and part of the walls were missing. And I'm like, is this going to be our life for however long? Because I was like, I know for a fact that it's going to be extremely difficult to get any kind of contractors out to repair the sheetrock and do the baseboards and install a new floor. And I'm like, what are we going to do? So we did the only thing we knew we could do. We put house slippers on and lived in this house that now was partially exposed with the floor, and there's a different smell in the air with raw concrete and open walls. Like, it was just weird. And we had a newborn baby. Literally, August 23rd is whenever we had our little boy, and we're in a house that is like a partial construction site, essentially. Mm-hmm. So it was the craziest thing. And then I'm wrapping it up with going back to the mold thing. Thankfully, we had a contractor who was licensed and bonded and has done work for us before. He came in, he helped us reinstall the sheetrock and the baseboards and the floor. And of course, thankfully, we did get an insurance check that helped us out with that. Thankfully, we had flood insurance at that time. Not going to lie, the flood insurance that we got activated not even 30 days before that event, because we had almost flooded in May of 2016. It got right up at the edge of the concrete slab before it went into the house. And so I called our State Farm agent and I was like, "Hey, how much is it to get in flood insurance?" And they told us, it's the same price for, it's a standard price, but like depending on your flood level, it's this price.
Correct. So
like we were in flood zone X, but the neighborhood was a bad designed neighborhood. Like, you probably, if I told you where this neighborhood is, you would know what we're talking about. It's been on the news countless times, and I don't want to oust the neighborhood because it's thankfully hasn't flooded in a long time. But so at that point, we told State Farm, like, we want flood insurance. And it was like, I want to say at the time, it was like $350 a year. Mm-hmm. Now it's like probably $1,000 a year.
Much more.
Yeah. Especially if you're in a bad flood zone.
Yep.
And so they said now it takes 30 days to activate. I said, oh my God, let's hope we don't have another event. Yeah. Well, it got activated, and like I said, not even 30 days after it was activated, we got hit in August. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, like crazy. I said, thank God we have flood insurance. We were able to kind of be a little bit more relaxed during that event. Now in May, we were distraught, like we're about to go bankrupt. But we got flood insurance. They helped out, and then we did all the repairs. And then just to make sure, before the repairs are fully complete, we had somebody come in and do an air quality test. Mm-hmm. He like you said, checked the outside air, got a base reading, essentially a controlled reading, and then he tested 2 or 3 spots in the house, because our house, the way the hallway was, mm-hmm. He needed to test multiple rooms. Correct. And so he did that, and it was really cool to watch the process. It was like this little device that sucked in air and like mm-hmm. did the processing, and he told us we were good. I'm like, oh my God, okay. So I think I felt comfortable at that time. Now, I didn't know that the walls itself needed to be checked, but we ripped out all the wet walls, so I felt like we were good. Yes. But it still made me nervous.
Correct.
You know, so going back to that, there was probably a fair amount of people that did repairs that were not done right. And what is, in your expert opinion, what are the potential problems that could come from improper remediation and things of that nature?
Yeah. Well, when you said two different things. First
I know. I said a lot. So.
That's okay. For your floor, there's a difference between a laminate and wood.
Yep.
There's engineered wood and there's laminate. Laminate won't absorb.
Okay.
So
maybe this was engineered because it definitely swelled and buckled.
If it absorbed, what it is, there's wood underneath it, and there's just almost like a formica on top for your finish. So it looks just like wood, feels like wood. It has a grain to it, but it's an engineered wood.
Okay.
So you are absorbing that because of the top, which is impermeable, it has to be ripped out as well. Laminate is more of a laminate. It's hard, like a plastic.
Okay.
If water gets under there, I can't dry it. That has to come out. Same thing with vinyl. If water gets under it, I got to take it out. Yeah,
typically they have like a padding, like a rubber padding or a foam padding.
They do. Some do, some don't. Some of them are just like a vapor barrier.
Okay.
It depends on the floor, and some of them have a foam backing on them. And then you'll just put a vapor barrier, and then your foam acts to kind of muffle your sound. But the thing is that what happens too with these floors is that when I get there and I tell them, you got water under your floor, I'm going to have to take it up, the homeowner says, well, no, that's a waterproof floor. And they're correct, but not for standing water, because water is like air. It goes through all those small cracks. Well, guess what? If it's waterproof on top, it's waterproof on the bottom. So I can't absorb water through it. If it's an actual wood, like that earlier example I gave, I can extract the water out of the wood and I can dry it. In your case, you did right. Hopefully you got back in there pretty quick. As soon as the water's resided, you got in there, you cut your drywall out, you took your floor out. So
it was pretty quick. It was fast.
So you got rid of your potential problem. The only thing which you could have done different was maybe put some air movers in there and a dehumidifier.
We did do a dehumidifier, but we only had one. I know.
At least it was something.
But we ran it like nonstop.
Correct.
And constantly.
Yeah, you want to do
and we
that.
dumped so much water out of that thing.
Because what sometimes when we get places, the repair may not have been done yet because they may need a part. They can't do it till tomorrow, whatever the case may be. You turn the water off so you stop the source of your water. What we'll do a lot of times, we just did it. We're going today to finish because the plumber was going today to do the repair. We'll put a dehumidifier. In this instance, the husband was disabled, so we had and if you have small children or elderly or you have health issues, we'll always put an air scrubber because we're fixing to disturb the air in your home. And it doesn't matter how clean you are, there are particles of dust that are going to get disturbed because of our air movement. But what we'll do is it's called stabilizing. So I'll put a dehumidifier, whether I need a large, an extra large, depends on the size of the room, and an air scrubber, and that starts the evaporation process. So there's no stagnation of water. We start that water evaporating, so that gives the movement to stop the mold from growing because we can't start our remediation immediately. You see?
Yeah.
So in your instance, that would have been the only other thing that you could have done. But as far as the mold growth, what happens sometimes, and because you had it open for that long, it's going to dry on its own. Since you had at least one dehumidifier in there, you had your AC running, which your air conditioning unit will take moisture out of the air. But it will only take the relative humidity in your home down probably at the most around 55%.
Yeah.
Because if it dries it too much, it'll start drying your skin. It'll dry you start having sinus issues. It'll start messing with your furniture from being too dry. Whereas that dehumidifier, when we put it in there, it doesn't know to stop. No matter what, it's just taking
Running,
water out of the air.
Yeah.
Is what it does, and there's readings on it. And what you have in the air, we call it grains per pound. And that's how many grains of water will fit in 1 cubic foot of air. And so when we look at it, when we look at our dehumidifier, it'll give us a grain depression. That dehumidifier tells me what's the temp coming in, what's the temp going out, how many grains are coming in, how many grains are going out, what's my relative humidity coming in, and what's my relative humidity going out. So with a dehumidifier, optimally, we want to be around 85 degrees. The dehumidifier pumps a lot of heat.
Yeah.
So we want to get the environment to that because that's where it operates optimally. If it's too hot, it doesn't function properly, and if it's too cold, it won't function at all.
Good Lord, that's a lot of stuff involved in remediation.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing is that I can become a remediation company and not know those things. Not have the schooling.
Okay, yeah, you were talking about that right before I mentioned the sponsors. You were talking about how somebody off the street can literally just say that they're a remediation,
and that's correct. And they don't have to have certifications. I'm certified for water, mold, and applied structural dry. So that's the dispelling of the myths. People think, oh, well, we had water on our floor. We dried it up and we just put some fans. Well, that's fine, but as a remediation company, we don't use fans. We use air movers, so...
What's the difference between a fan and an air mover?
A fan is just blowing air.
Okay.
An air mover is moving air. Like I have fans that'll push 3,500 cubic feet per minute of air. When I set up fans in a room to dry, it'll make your ceiling fan go like your ceiling fan's turned on. Because what we're doing is we're creating a vortex that an actual air mover points down. Okay, my bigger ones that depending on the moisture and how wet things are in the room when we're doing it. So, and what it does is it's positioned at a specific angle from the wall, which there's a mark on my air mover that tells me put this mark perpendicular to the wall, and that's how it works. And you keep it about 4 to 6 inches away from the wall. And so as it starts, what it does with that air is it starts at the bottom, but it moves it up through the room, and then it brings it back down. And it's constantly doing that with the air, and that's what creates the evaporation process. You see? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the water to evaporate. I'm trying to get it out of there. That's why I need the dehumidifier, because I'm putting all this moisture in the air. Your air conditioning unit will not be able
to take
that much water out. And that was a big problem this summer. A lot of people started having their AC drains back up because when we had that drought and it was so hot, people's air conditioning units were running nonstop. But what people don't realize is that your drain line is just a little small 3/4 inch line.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's taking these contaminants out of the air and it's creating a fungus in that drain line. Now you can get them with a 1 inch, some of the newer ones. So what happens is it backs up and you think you have a water leak, but it's actually the drain pipe to your AC. The problem nowadays is that everyone puts all their water fixtures in the attic. So, the older homes, if you have something, it's a floor, it's a closet. In the newer homes, it's in the attic. So sometimes you don't even know it's happening because you have insulation blown
soaking
in.
it up, yeah.
And it's absorbing. And then the next thing you know, hopefully, it'll start dripping through one of your sheetrock joints, and you'll look up and notice that it's wet.
Yeah.
But if not, if it's and especially if it's a hot water heater line that bursts and it's spraying water in your attic, by the time you know what's going on, generally your ceiling is coming in on you a lot of times. So
that's scary.
Yeah, or it runs for long enough that it compromises the integrity of your drywall. So we have to take it out. If it doesn't, then we can dry it in place. If the integrity of your drywall is compromised, we have to take that ceiling down, and then it becomes a whole nother process of how we dry all those ceiling joists. You see, because for us, we have a mat system that we can extract with out of wood. But that same mat system, because tile does not have to be removed, even in Category 3. Tile can stay. You clean it and spray it. It's impermeable, so contaminants can't get inside of it. Their surface. But that tile, when it gets that wet, because what we've done it where lines have burst in a kitchen and a dining, so it's tile. So what we do is we use the same mat system. We place it down, but I reverse my lines and I blow hot air onto the tile to force the evaporation from the grout. You see?
Right.
So I'll make it come out.
The grout's permeable, yeah.
That's correct. Now, also, beside that, which I don't know if the other companies in town have it or not, we have a thermal heat system. It's a PDS that where I'm going today. It's a leak. It's a leak in the cabinet, behind the wall of the cabinet. Well, there's water under the cabinets. The floor of that cabinet doesn't touch the concrete, but I'm reading it into the 30% humidity, moisture. I mean, well, it's supposed to be around 12. So that means there's water under that cabinet on that floor that got in there. So what we'll do is I will drill holes in the toe kicks of the cabinet, and I will use that thermal heat system. The back wall will be out, so I'll have a way for my water to evaporate.
Yeah.
And I'll blow hot air under that cabinet, so I don't have to demo their cabinets. And I'll salvage the cabinets in their kitchen. And I'll get that water to evaporate that way, and I have my dehu placed by the cabinet. Of course, I'll put air movers in there. Because it was in the wall, I have to dry the studs of the wall.
Right.
And the whole process will happen at the same time. When I'm done, I'll pull my hoses out, and I'll put their quarter round and shoe base back in, and you'll never even know you got holes right there.
Huh.
And all I'll have to restore is the back wall of that cabinet.
So you're talking about putting holes through the sheetrock?
No, in the bottom of their cabinet.
Yeah, okay, in the bottom. Okay, got it. Okay. Because you mentioned quarter round. I'm sorry, I was thinking.
Yeah, I will pump hot air. I'm talking seriously hot air. Like if you touch the bottom of that cabinet, you won't keep your hand there very long.
So and that's to force the water to evaporate.
That's to force the evaporation process. Wow, correct. Man.
Such an interesting business. Such an interesting process. I've seen remediation companies, especially during 2016, flying around all over the place. Some of them were well-known names, and some of them were not. But yeah. So what are some other things that? Because I know we're almost at an hour. What are some other things that your company does that's remediation? Because obviously it's not just mold. But because you do water, fire, and mold remediation, what is the most common thing that you deal with?
We mostly deal with water.
Mostly, yeah.
Yes, mostly with water.
Because leaks happen all the time.
Correct, correct. People in the Lafayette metro area, which is about 235 to 250,000 population, just what's claimed in insurance. That's $40 million a year in water loss.
Wow. Just in this Lafayette area?
Just in insurance claims. That's not the people who pay for it themselves and don't claim it.
Wow.
Correct.
40 million?
40 million a year in insurance claims.
That is crazy.
Correct.
I didn't realize it was that much.
You really don't realize. I mean, you got to realize that, like in... how often do you go in your attic and check to make sure all the connections on your hot water heater are okay?
No, good. You're right. I don't go in my attic hardly at all unless I'm taking down Christmas decorations.
Exactly. And then only for the time you need to get the decorations down. Like for us, we service our unit, at my office, and at home, we service them spring and fall. Okay. To get them ready for that workload that they're fixing to have for the summer and the workload they're going to have in the winter when that heater's running. And that servicing, they'll service the unit. They make sure it's functioning properly. Your freon's at the proper level. It's clean. They clean your coils. But also, the wife and I, we will pour bleach down our drain line. We pour bleach in it. But a lot of people just pour bleach. Well, and by the way, bleach does not kill anything. Bleach is simply a cleaner. People think, well, I just sprayed bleach on it and got rid of it. No, what you did was you cleaned it and you made it white. Because it bleached it. It's what bleach does.
So it doesn't kill?
It does nothing. It's a cleaner. That's it. It does not kill germs. That is a misnomer.
Really?
No.
I feel like
the 99.9% killing viruses, and the chemicals that we use are safe, but they're medical grade. We will kill viruses with our chemicals.
Okay.
Bleach is a cleaner.
I'm looking
it up.
at
I can see you. It is a cleaner. And it bleaches it. It'll remove a fungus or a mold, but it's not there to kill germs.
That's interesting.
It does not kill. So you spray it on a mold and you think you got rid of it. Well, guess what? All you did was bleach it. So, and you remediated the surface, but it's coming right back. It's going to grow through if it's a permeable substance, you know?
Yeah.
Now, we don't have to demo wood on mold. Wood, we do what's called a HEPA sandwich. So we have HEPA vacuums as well as scrubbers, which is a HEPA filter in there. We vacuum it, we treat it with an encapsulant, and then we HEPA again. Like inside, we'll normally fog in that containment, and that encapsulates all of everything so it won't move. It can't get airborne when we're remediating.
So I got a question. So I'm on Clorox website. Okay. And they have a little graphic that says kills 99.9% of viruses and bacteria. It has an asterisk. The asterisk, it just says when used as directed on hard, non-porous surfaces.
There's your answer.
Okay.
On your countertop. But you really, if it's any kind of permeable surface, bleach will do no good whatsoever.
So that is
but it will. But you're just spreading it around. Because once it doesn't say that it does it. It says it kills it.
Yeah.
So now that you've wiped bleach on your counter and you've killed it, it's still there.
Okay.
So now you come back with a soap and water rag.
Okay.
And wipe it, and that.
So that's the appropriate thing.
That removes
got
it. You see?
Okay.
But the bleach will do nothing for a mold or a funk. It does not do anything. It just makes it clear. That's
interesting. Yeah.
Bleach.
Yeah.
That's some of the myths that are out there. Everyone says just use bleach, just bleach it, and it's gone. And then
it just depends on the process you take.
Correct.
So it'll kill it. Well, on non-porous surfaces.
Correct.
Because if it's wood or if it's engineered wood or whatever.
Think about it. Granite is a porous substance.
Granite? Yeah. Oh,
sure.
God, you're right. Dude.
Quartz.
Dang it. So it's not a good idea to cut poultry on your countertop then.
No.
I don't do that.
Correct.
But
everyone pulls out their wipes. Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Use a disinfectant wipe. Okay.
So what do you do with? Okay, so let's say somebody has a nice hard stone countertop. Well, if you think you're cleaning it and you wipe it with bleach or Lysol or whatever you use, how do you
soap and water, and remove with soap and water.
But
it'll kill it. It'll kill the germ, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but it's still there. It's still there on the surface.
Okay.
It hasn't removed it. All you did was spread it around. The soap and water is what removes it from the counter.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Correct.
Now.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
So,
Interesting stuff. Hey, you're the professional here, so I just buy the cleaners, and I'm like, oh, I'll just spray it and wipe. All right. Well, cool. I know we're getting close to an hour here. Besides remediation, obviously, we could probably talk more about that for an extended period of time, and I don't want to make this too long because it's 12:30. I'm getting hungry for lunch.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and I know you probably have a few places that you need to be. What are some other things that you're involved in, whether that be professionally or outside of your work? And what is something that motivates you and keeps you doing what you do?
Outside of, I've never been one to have a whole bunch of hobbies. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
If I do hunt and fish, if I'm invited.
Okay.
I have a big 11 point in my office. My son-in-laws are sportsmen. I have good friends who are, and we'll do that. Other than that, because I've been in business for myself for 30 years, even when I was in oil and gas as a landman, I didn't start traveling until my youngest, right as she was graduating high school. But I would be away and I would fly back and forth. I'd run these big projects for 2 years at a time, usually. Yeah. So, and because I work the way I do, come the weekend, my wife doesn't want to hear about I'm going hunting or I'm going to spend 5 hours playing golf with my buddies.
Right.
So if I'm not working, I'm pretty much spending time with my wife and my kids and my grandkids. And, I have 2 grandsons who are involved in baseball. If they're in a tournament, we're there.
Yeah.
My granddaughters, one of them's 13. She doesn't have a whole lot of outside activity. She likes art. So we help the children like we can, and she will send her for an art school or something. The other little girl, my youngest daughter has the 2 girls. She's only 4. So that's the one that wants to come to the house, and as they get older, they don't love you quite as much. And when they need something, they love you.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, they really love you.
Okay.
So we're involved with that, And the thing for me is that for me, it's scriptural. It says to take care of your children's children. I'm responsible for that as the man of the house. I'm responsible for that. So that's what drives me. That's my why, is my wife and my kids and my grandkids. Because, we help out as much as we can. And it's not because they can't. It's because I can.
There you go.
So that's a big deal for me, in that, what I understand is that if I want to be blessed, I need to be a blessing. And so I bless people as much as I can, but I've yet to outgive God. I've yet to outgive the Lord. So for me, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just to be an example and a shining light, and I don't need to tell you about it. I should just be able to show you, and you should be able to see it.
Yeah.
And you should just be able to know there's something about that guy. I don't know what it is, because when there's something bad, you know it. You'll feel it in your spirit. And when there's something good, you'll feel it. And so that's what I try to portray, is that when I say something, you can believe it. You can trust me. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I want to be the father and the husband and the friend that I should be, that people would expect. I'm not looking, and I don't talk about it a lot because I'm not looking for the pat on the back. It's what you should do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't look for recognition. A lot of the things that I do, the charities that I donate to, the things that I'm involved in, I do it anonymously because I don't want to be recognized. Yeah, it's not why I do it. If I'm getting my recognition today, then I won't get my recognition later. And that's just the way I look at things. It's just about helping people. That is what drives me, is to be able, when I started this remediation company, my wife beside a few other choice words, told me I was crazy. You know, I mean, I was 60 years old. And she knows what it is because this isn't the first business I've started. So, and it's like I told her, I'm like, this is it. This I'm building for my grandchildren. And the people that I have as employees understand. You come in while we're small. I am involved, but I'm not involved in the physical aspect of it as much. I have a business development manager, a wonderful young lady, Charlie Prejean-Hebert. It's not about sales. I told her, don't worry about selling. I want you out there making the relationships, building trust. You're the face. When people think of remediation, I want them to think of Restoration 1 of Lafayette. That's what I have you for. Go out there and do it. The guys who work for me, I'll go to the jobs a lot of times at first to reassure the homeowner and stuff, but I'm not dictating protocol. That's why I have remediation techs that they're certified as well. And they're going to have to run the job. They're going to set up the protocol of what, and we'll discuss it. But so what I try to do, and I've done it, I did it when I had my paint company, I did it in oil and gas, the different projects I've worked on. I've had people leave other companies and come to me because I started a new project. Because that's the type of manager that I am. That's the type of individual I am. I try to surround myself with good people who know what they're doing. They have the same ethics that I have. We're going to be honest. We're going to be moral. We're going to do what we say we do. We're not going to lie, cheat, and steal. And I'm going to put you in place, and I'm going to expect you to do your job. I'm not going to micromanage you. I raise children. I'm not here to babysit. So that's the philosophy that I have, is that I look for good people. I surround myself with them who perform a function. And I recognize you for performing that function. I don't take credit for any of this. You know, my people make this happen. All I am is the facilitator. I'm the facilitator. I make sure the bills get paid and the insurances and you know, and I make sure that my people are taken care of because I'm ultimately responsible for it. But in the end, I make sure that homeowner knows, here's my people. Both of my mitigation manager, my lead tech, they have their own business cards. They have their own number, and I make sure that client has it. Whichever job they're on, they can call them, but they have mine as well. And I'm 24/7. You've called my phone rings, I'm going to answer it. But that lets them know, and my people know, that you take care of these people. And those people know that these people are going to take care of me. You know? Yeah. Drake told me he would, and here they are. They're here. They line, you know, what's a convenient time? We have to monitor every day. We have to check all that equipment. We have to purge our dehumidifier. I need that for the insurance companies because we use a program, which I don't know what the others use. I know the guys who work for me they didn't have what we have. It's called a hydro log.
Okay, yeah.
And it actually graphs your moisture points. It tells you what equipment I had. It tells you how many kilowatts of electricity I used. Based on what your kilowatt charge per hour is, it tells you what the insurance company
and this is provided to the customer? Mm-hmm. Wow, nice.
That tells that customer, this is how much that insurance company owes you for extra electricity while I was here.
See, I never thought about that.
That's correct.
Wow.
A lot of people don't. They don't think about that.
Wow.
You know, so those are the type of things that we do. And a lot of times I have to fight with the insurance companies because what they're accustomed to is I rang my bill up, insurance company cuts it down, and I take it. And that's not what Restoration 1 of Lafayette does. What we do is, here's my services. This is what we did. This is what I expect to be paid. I don't charge them for every little glove that I use and every bag that I use for disposal. No, I understand that. But this is what it costs me to do business. If my insurance company doesn't allow me to say I can get insured by so-and-so cheaper, so that's what I'm going to pay you, no, they're going to cancel my insurance.
Yeah.
But when it comes to me and the remediation side, because of some of the things that are done in the industry, they thinking that raising your bill for, that I've yet to have an issue with any of the services that I've performed or the equipment. It's always been, I just don't want to pay that much for it.
From the insurance.
Correct. So, that's the thing though. And it's fine. Normally we can negotiate and come out to a happy medium between us. And if not, then I have to go to the customer. Customer has to get in touch with their agent. Agent has to start fussing with the insurance companies. And I'm there the whole process, but generally I win. I've yet to lose one where we had to go back to the insurance.
And how long have you been doing this for?
I've been at it 2 years.
2 years. Okay. Yeah.
2 years.
Good.
Yes. And that's when I saw the industry, I didn't realize there's a lot more to it than I originally thought.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as easy to get started as I thought, but it's been an enjoyable ride, and it's just to get people to understand that not everyone is honest. A lot of people get to your home, they want your deductible up front. You got to give me your deductible before I even start.
Wow.
We don't do that.
Okay.
No, we're going to get started. We're going to deal with your deductible when we get there. I'm the only company in town that offers financing that I don't make anything on it, and the finance company I use don't make anything on it. I pay them a flat fee for an annual service, and it's an app based on your credit and what your income is. They go out and find any and every option for any type of availability of financing for you.
Wow. That's awesome.
I do that for my customers.
Man, so if I ever have an issue, let me tell you, you are going to be the top of mind for sure. Because in all sense of the word, honestly, you seem like an honest guy. The company seems like, obviously you run it, so it seems like an honest company. And hearing about your experience and the certifications that you have, it seems like you know your stuff. So hopefully I never have to deal with water issues, but this is a new house. So obviously in the next 10, 20 years, I'm pretty sure something's going to come up. But if something comes up anytime before that, definitely going to keep your information because you sound like you know your stuff.
Yes. And what I try to do, depending on when I speak to the homeowner, kind of tells me if I need to go there. The one that we went to yesterday, this woman she's just distraught. She's worried about the deductible and all that. And so I tell her that we're going to need a monitor every day. And I ask her if coming at 5:30 a.m. is okay. And she just kind of looks at me like, what? And I said, I'm just kidding. We're not going to come that early. Well, so it kind of lightened that mood. She started laughing, and then it was like, okay, now you're better. And so I tried to lighten it. Man, it's just so traumatic.
Yeah.
What's going on. So I try to get that homeowner a little bit of laughing and take their mind. It's really not as bad as you think. We're going to take care of it. It's going to be okay.
It is a scary situation, though, with water damage. It is. Just the thought of insulation falling out of your attic and sheetrock crumbling, that sounds like a horrible situation. Let me tell you, if my wife had to deal with that, she would just be beside herself, and I would be a little nervous as well. But I know that there are obviously companies out there that are designed for this, and as long as you have house insurance, I know typical house insurance covers everything coming down as far as water goes. Now, if it comes from underneath, that's a different issue.
That's correct.
Not always. Like if it's flooding, you have to have flood insurance.
Correct.
Now, I don't know about like plumbing. I don't know if
plumbing, yes.
Okay.
And so what happens also, what people don't realize is they have these water issues and they can't figure out what it is. Concrete never dries. Well, when it gets as dry as we were this summer, what happens is the ground there's no moisture in the ground. So what happens is that concrete can't get any moisture from its surrounding environment, so it starts drying. And as that concrete dries, it starts contracting, and it'll burst your pipes that are in your slab. So it's not necessarily that you have something leaking, it's in your slab.
Wow.
which we have companies that will send out to detect slab leaks.
Oh, that's scary. That's a whole nother issue.
We have plumbers that we use, and they can generally go overhead and drop back down rather than have to tear your slab up. That's the majority of the time. We haven't had one that had to tear a slab up yet.
Oh, good.
They've been able to go overhead and come in how they needed to. So that's something else that you don't realize, what's going on in that instance. So
yeah, wow.
and yeah,
Yeah, crazy stuff, man. Well, cool. Look, I know I don't want to keep you too much longer. It's an hour and 10 minutes. I want to be respectful of your time. Plus, my stomach is making all kinds of sounds. I definitely can feel it. So I really appreciate you, Drake Bajat. That's who you've been listening to. I really appreciate you coming out, Drake, and talking about remediation and a little bit about you and what your purpose is with all of this. And I appreciate you sharing that with me and whoever listens. And I hope that you get plenty of successful years doing this. Obviously, nobody wants to have to see you.
No.
But thankfully, though, as long as you're as honest as you say you are and that you show you are, I'm pretty sure that it'll be a good face regardless. Be like, okay, I know this guy's going to handle up. So
correct. Yes, and you can look at we are on Facebook. We're on Google. Every one of my review, I have nothing but 5-star reviews for every review we have.
Good.
You can follow us there. We have some educational videos on the Facebook, which we are starting.
And you have a website, right?
Yes, we do. Restoration1oflafayette.com. Our Facebook page will give you a video of myself. It'll tell you about the company. It'll show you some of the things we do. We have a demonstration of a water line burst and how quickly water accumulates. 20 minutes, 180 gallons of water.
Wow.
That's what a busted water line will push. We have some testimonials on there that how we work with insurance companies. We have an insurance agent that had a client. She was out of town. We took care of her client. She never had, all she had to do was call us. We had one that the lady and her husband were up in New York with their daughter at a camp. They contacted us. When they got back from New York, their home was back restored. The only thing we didn't do was their carpet so that they could pick it out.
Wow.
Everything else in their home was completely put back together. And then we're going to start weekly instructional videos. This week coming up, I'll be doing a how to winterize your home, your pipes, and make sure you know how to cover your outdoor faucets so they don't also get burst, how to insulate your pipes, that type thing.
Awesome.
So we're doing that. I do thank you for allowing me to come here and share some time with you and your audience. And just remember, my little business development man, I call her little because for me, she's young. So, we take the stress out of your mess and we'll get you home back to its original glory. We're really easy to find on the website. Our phone number is really easy to remember, 337-RESTORE.
There you go.
Not real difficult. We're 24/7. I answer all the phone calls myself and we'll be to you. We will take care of you.
Awesome. You said 337-RESTORE?
Yes, sir.
Dang, that's an easy one to remember.
Yes, sir.
Wow. How'd you get that? That's good.
I paid for that.
You did pay for that.
It's funny to you. It wasn't real funny to me when I was buying it. Because Restore goes with so many different things.
Yeah.
But I contacted a company, and what that guy does is go out and find who owns that number.
And says, hey, we got to buy it from you.
Yep. And I purchased that number. So that I have to give credit to Miss Laurie Foreman of Town Square Media. It was her idea.
Okay.
She was I did some advertising with her. I'd sponsored the Moon Griffon show, the third hour. I was the original sponsor of the third hour of the Moon Griffon show.
Nice.
When he started. So, and it was with my tax and accounting firm, but it switched over to remediation.
Yeah, he's a well-known name.
But yes, that's what I was saying, that I get people who know what I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that, so I get people who if I want marketing, I find a marketer. You know, it's what we do. It's what I do anyway. I find people who can perform their function, and she's been outstanding.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it's the phone number thing. I know we're on a tangent and we need to close out, but
keep going.
It makes me think of all the injury attorneys with their phone numbers, and I'm always curious, how do they get those numbers? And I'm educated enough to know that you push enough money around, you're going to get what you want. But man, some of these phone numbers are great. I don't want to say any of the numbers because I don't want to try to plug any of these attorneys because they're not sponsoring me. And if they do want to sponsor me, y'all know how to get in touch with me. But I'm just saying. But one of them is super easy. It's all one number. It's like
Correct.
just one string of numbers.
Correct.
And I'm like, how? Now, obviously, it's 337.
Correct.
But then, like, the next three and the last four are all the same. I'm like,
Correct.
And I know, like, if I was to ever get in an accident, that's the easiest number because it's one of my favorite numbers, in fact.
I got you.
And I just know I'm going to press all those buttons. And so there you go.
Right.
But, like, so yeah, good. So 337 Restore, if you want to keep that number down. Obviously, you have a website too, your Facebook page and all that good stuff. So Restoration One of Lafayette. Thankfully, though, or I say thankfully, hopefully you won't have to give him a call, but he's here. And like he said earlier, there are over $40 million worth of insurance claims going around town in this local area every year. That's insane.
Yes.
So it's going to happen at some
Correct.
point.
And we have not had any hurricanes for the last 4.
Okay. Now,
now locally.
There's wood right here. I'm knocking on it.
And exactly. And people were talking about it this year, you know, and I'm like, listen, I would prefer not to have a hurricane, which, speaking of that, we also are affiliated with RLB Construction, which they do roofing. And what we have is, you could look them up. I'm not sure their website, if it's rlbconstruction.com or not. But what they have is a program called RAS. It's Respond, Assess, and Secure. And we're affiliated with them. And there's a tree company, I forget the name of it, but they will go out and take care of doing that. And what they do is they'll respond when it's safe. They'll assess the damage, and they'll secure your home if you decide to leave for the hurricane. Yeah. And you get moved up to the top of the list with the tree company and me as a remediation company.
Wow.
So you get ahead of everyone. We have programs for your pictures. You get yours into the insurance company first. But yeah.
Yeah. So you got to handle up.
Yeah, we're real. I try to be involved in the community, you know. We're involved with One Acadiana, the apartment association, different chambers of commerce. My BDM and myself are in different BNI groups. You know, so we try to interact.
So you're definitely getting out there. Yeah.
Yes. We try to interact with the community because we're a service company. We want people to know that there are some honest service companies out there. You know, there are people that aren't only trying to get money from you. We're actually performing a service.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Drake, we do have to close out,
Sure.
but I do appreciate you coming out and talking about all the stuff that you have going on, especially with your remediation business. And it was a pleasure having you here because you seem like a good, honest guy, and I like that. And I hope to see you successful, and hopefully you never have to see your face at my house. But if I do, I know it'll be good.
That's right. Thank you again so much for having me. And 337 Restore.
There you
We'll
go.
take the stress out of your mess.
I like that, man. It seems like you worked on it plenty of times to make sure it's just right.
That's my business development manager.
There
Came
you
up
go.
with the logo. With the slogan.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is it, Drake. Hopefully you have a great weekend. I know there's supposed to be a little bit of rain, so hopefully you can enjoy your weekend and not have to go to work. But hey, you know, things happen. But yeah, enjoy your weekend, and hopefully you have a good one.
Thank you so much.
All right. And that's it, guys. Y'all enjoy your weekend as well. And hopefully, if you're watching this and if you would rather listen to it, we do have the audio version only that'll be uploaded later today. And if you're already listening to this video after the fact of Friday, the audio version is uploaded already. So with that, take care and we'll see you in the next one. All right, Drake, have a good one.
Thank you.